This episode is brought to you by the members of the You Run Podcast Network, the Paranormal Misfits Podcast, the Horror Friendly Podcast, the Girl and the Gay Podcast, Video Tasties, Pop Culture Reflections Podcast, the Ghoulish Gallery, You Gonna Eat That Crust Podcast, Voices from the Mausoleum, the Dewey Podmonster Podcast, the Aardvark and the Magic Moshi Do Red Dwarf, and Movies for Days. All available at yourunpodcast.com. Mark, I went a little bit John Kramer this week and I trapped a couple of vegans in my basement. Well, I think they're vegans. They keep shouting lettuce leaf.
Oh my God. That is poor, mate. That is a poor.
I thought that was good. You said that like the proper dad jokes are the best. That is a proper dad joke.
That is about as dad as they come. Yeah, I mean, no, I'm not. No. Maybe it was your delivery on that one. Let me know, everybody. That was bad. Do better.
Right. Okay.
Hey, everyone. The You Run Podcast. The You Run Podcast.
You want to die tonight?
Scott, I think you know who the fuck this is that's talking.
Cancel Mark. I was terribly offended.
Because after all, this is not our show. This is your show.
Hello and welcome to Horror Movie Review, the show that surprisingly reviews horror movies. We are not an ordinary horror movie review show, though. We are the You Run Podcast Horror Movie Review, which means you get to do stuff. My name's Scott.
And my name is Mark.
And this is the most interactive show around. You select the movie, you share your thoughts, you give it a score, you kind of do everything. We review the movie for you. We play a game. This week we go head to head, which was a unanimous vote. When I put that out, like, should me and Mark go head to head again, or should we play a fun game? I was like, no, you two need to argue.
It always ends in tears every time. I don't know why we do this.
No, I don't either. But later on, you get to hear me humble Mark and probably make him cry.
I know I'm going to spit my dummy out. I always do, because you cheat. You're a cheater. You give questions that are very elusive to what the answer might be, and then you like sort of twist it to suit your own narrative. You've done it a few times, and I'm going to call you out on it again if you do it today.
Just as a preview for later, Mark later on today will be hearing this.
Game over.
I'm already wound up and we haven't even started yet.
This is true. You can get involved in the show in a number of ways. You can email us, yourunpodcast@gmail.com. You can send us a voicemail. That's an audio DM on Instagram or X. And you need to go and follow us across all social media. We're at You Run Podcast everywhere. You also need to go and follow Mark. He is VHS from the Crypt and Reviews from the Crypt on Instagram. While you're doing all these wonderful things for us, go and leave us a 5-star review. Apple, Spotify, that really, really, really helps. It really helps the show grow. And if you are watching on Rumble, hello, world of Rumble that I still don't quite understand, but I do understand. You need to follow us and click like on the video. Say something, comment on my joke. How good was my joke this week?
No, comment on how bad it was.
Yeah, I don't care. Comment anything. Like, comments help. Like, whatever you want to say. Say, Scott, you look like a dick. I really don't care. Like, it all helps us grow. That's enough for that. We have a fab show lined up today. We are reviewing a movie that I am amazed has taken this long to get on the show. As I said earlier, we're playing a head-to-head game where I will make Mark beg for mercy. And most importantly, for the next hour and however long we're on the air, we're going to entertain you, make you smile, make you laugh, and just generally give you a good time. Today, we share the dangers of meeting strangers in public bathrooms. While tool maintenance is an absolute must to get out of those tricky situations, we debate the importance of body parts, discuss unhealthy obsessions with creepy dolls, and more importantly than anything else, we share the teachings of John Kramer, the world's most enthusiastic life coach. It has been a long time coming, but today you join us as we try and escape the traps alive as we take you to 2006's Saw.
Hello, Madam.
jigsaw killer.
Paul, find the path with the razor wire.
Technically speaking, he's not really a murderer. He never killed anyone.
Dr. Gordon, your aim in this game is to kill Adam. If you do not, then Diana will die.
He finds ways for his victims to kill themselves.
I'm sick of people who don't appreciate their blessings. I've given your life purpose.
Looks like our friend Jigsaw likes to book himself front row seats to his own sick games.
He doesn't want us to cut through our chains. He wants us to cut through our feet.
Most people are so ungrateful to be alive. Not anymore.
You are a drug addict. Do you think that is why he picked you?
He helped me. Don't believe Adam's lies.
Live or die. Make your choice.
It's a good trailer.
Quite a cool trailer. Yeah, it's a really cool trailer because it shows a lot if you've seen the movie, but if you haven't, it doesn't really give you much context to anything.
No, it gives you very little information, which is great. Like, trailers bug me. Trailers are meant to give you just enough and not go beat for beat the whole thing. So yeah, perfect trailer. Listeners score the movies here. They've scored this a 4 out of 5. Letterboxd coming at a 3.6 out of 5. And Gladys didn't have a lot to say this week. No comments, just said 3 out of 5. Like, nothing to add. 3 out of 5. And I even asked, would you like to elaborate? She's like, nope. All right, fine. This is a spoiler heavy show. We will give away everything. We'll give plot points, we'll give narrative, we will tell you everything that happens in this movie. Here is your spoiler warning.
Okay, I'm gonna explain this shit to you like you're 5. Get your eyes checked, read the damn episode title. I don't want to hear any bitching, any complaining about how, oh, there's spoilers. No, read it. If you've not seen it, do not listen.
We are going to get an updated one from Heather. I'm going to do that tomorrow when I record True Crime with her.
Brilliant. You need to do that.
Yeah.
It's been a long time coming.
It has. We've had this one for a while now. So I think it's time for Heather to do. Do we want a more relaxed Heather or more rage-filled Heather?
Rage-filled, definitely. The angrier, the better. The more aggressively Texan she can be, the better, I think.
She put in the group chat the other day, we haven't referred to her as Texas Twilight for ages.
That's all about to change.
Yeehaw! Let's get into this movie. We kick off with Adam, who played by Lee Winnell, wakes up in a bathtub and instantly loses the key. Did you spot this first time you watched it?
No,
I didn't. I saw something like a light that went down the plug hole, but I didn't realize.
I mean, in hindsight, when you watch it back again and you know that that's what happened, obviously it's very clearly a key that goes down. But no, I didn't pick up on this on my first watch.
No, I didn't. He's not alone in the room, and the lights are turned on after a bit of like, hello, who's there? And we meet Dr. Gordon. The room is disgusting.
Yeah. Even Lee Winnell's character says, I went to bed in my shithole apartment and woke up in an actual shithole.
Yeah, it's awful. Like it's the dirtiest, grimiest bathroom. You've got Gordon and you've got Adam, and they're chained to pipes opposite ends of the room. You've got a guy laying on the floor with a big hole in his head and blood everywhere, with a revolver in one hand and a tape recorder in the other. And it's Gordon who's like, there's a new clock on the wall. Which really observant, because in that situation I would not have spotted it.
Yeah, there's a lot of things they do here within this movie where they're like, I wouldn't say sort of piece things together too quickly, but it's things like that. Like they literally, the first thing they see in daylight and he notices the clock on the wall is shiny and new. I don't know how observant I would be in that situation. My main sort of thing would be to get the fuck out of there. Like Adam is freaking out massively. Like I feel like I would be more like Adam.
Yeah, whereas Gordon's
Dr. Gordon's a bit more like laid back, as if he's already like well versed in the kidnapping game.
Yeah, Dr. Gordon's like, oh, there's a chain on my ankle. Oh, have you seen that? He's put a new clock up. Fucking new clock. Fancy fucker. That's kind of, they are very different characters.
Yeah, definitely.
They find tapes in their pockets, tapes that go in this recorder that's in the guy's hand. In Gordon's pocket, he's not only got a tape, he's also got a bullet and he's got something else. What else has he got? It's gone. It's in my notes further down. We'll find it.
Yeah, I can't remember off the top of my head.
He's definitely got a bullet. Adam plays his tape first after he does the thing where the way he gets the tape recorder, I called bullshit. Like he ties his jumper
immediately
to the plug hole, to the plug, and then he's like whipping and like.
I mean, don't get me wrong. I definitely think it would be possible, but it's like those videos you see on YouTube where they like flip cards into like Nintendo Wii's and stuff, or like discs, and they've got to load it in, and then you see the outtakes and they've been practicing it for like 4 hours. Like I feel like it would be one of those moments. I'm not saying it's not possible, but he does it on like the second try, and I'm like, no, I'm calling bullshit on this right now.
Yeah, there's a guy I watch on TikTok who does lives, and he's got a timer for when he starts, and then he does it until he does it and stops the live. I've seen him do 7-hour lives before to get a ping pong ball and a cup.
Yeah, that's what I mean. It's one of those situations, isn't it?
100% it is. So Adam's tape, he is a voyeur. He basically, Jigsaw saying, you like to watch people, and will you watch yourself die or will you do something about it? And then he chucks the tape over to Gordon. No, Gordon has to chuck the tape to him because he won't chuck the recorder.
He won't throw the recorder. And I'm very much on board with Adam at this moment. He's very suspicious. He doesn't trust anybody. And I wouldn't either, waking up in this room chained to a wall. Because obviously they both equally have a tape. Once Adam's listened to his, Dr. Gordon's like, give me the recorder. He's like, no, you give me the tape. I'm not parting with it. Which is a right thing to do. I don't think I would share it with him either.
Yeah, he kind of ruins it all in about 5 minutes' time when he obliterates the recorder, but we'll get to that in a minute. Gordon's tape is a lot darker. Gordon's tape is, by the way, I have your family. You have till 6 o'clock tonight to kill Adam. And if you don't, I'm going to leave you in this room to rot and I'm going to kill your family.
Yeah.
When I watched it, I instantly said Adam would be dead in minutes.
Yeah, I mean, you've got till 6 o'clock. I don't think I would instantly kill him. I would obviously be concerned for my family, but I would have enough time to try and navigate the situation a little bit, put a little bit of thought into what's going on. I wouldn't immediately seek out trying to kill this dude, because you may need him, as we will find out later on, in order to get what you need in the situation. You instantly killing something that could be of assistance to you when you have time not to do so. So I think I would be a little bit more tactical in it, which is like something that Dr. Lawrence does. So I know what you're saying. Your immediate thought would be, this bitch is going down, and you would be right to think that, but you'd also need to just take a step back and think, actually, how beneficial is it to me, him being alive or dead?
Yeah, I mean, it wouldn't be a case of like instantly I'd start throwing things at him, but in my head, I would have already killed him. I'd be
and I mean, the thing is as well, when you're looking at the Saw franchise, when you're looking at the Saw franchise as a whole, we're very well versed in the laws and the rules that apply to these games. So we know going in, the sooner he's dead, the sooner we're out and we're back home. But this is the first movie in the franchise, and we don't know if that's going to work at all. He could kill Adam and still end up stuck there forever. So you've got to be a bit more tactical about it the first time around.
Yeah, I think the thoughts in my head would be, right, I need to kill this guy. How do I kill this guy? How do I get free to get over to this guy to kill him? Those would be the sort of thoughts that were running through my head, because the risk of my family being hurt would override anything else. Any sympathy, any empathy, like all of that would be out the window. I wouldn't care who it was the other side of the room. It's now, that is now a means to an end. I love you, dude, but sorry.
Oh, mate, you won't even give me till 6 o'clock.
Do something about it.
The tape also refers to a heart. So in the tape, they mention a heart, and this leads them to a shit-stained heart on a toilet. I 100% would have checked the cistern at the back before I
I would have done.
plunged my hand into the most foul toilet bowl in the world.
The thing is, as well, I always like think about weird stuff when I'm watching these Saw movies. Like, that toilet is full of absolute shit, like literally brimming with the runniest, dirtiest shit you've ever seen in your life. So I'm like, is someone frequently using that toilet, or is John Kramer personally using that toilet purposeful for the sake of knowing that someone's going to be locked in there later on? Like, is he coming down there twice a day to fill it up himself?
So what you're saying is he blocked it, and then after that repeatedly went in it, and then
Exactly,
chuckled to himself.
Yeah, like over the course of a month, is he just giggling away every time he needs a shit, thinking, ha 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 ha, can't wait till Adam sticks his hand in this.
This is going to be so funny when I watch it.
How sadistic is it?
Adam does eventually go into the cistern, and he pulls out a black bag which has got 2 hacksaws in it, and another item which he throws into the bathtub, which we don't find out what it is until later.
No.
They've done a good job of not making that a big thing.
I think they do very well with everything throughout this movie in terms of not making it a big thing. Like, so many things are so subtly suggested towards, like the bag, the key that we've already mentioned, going down the plug hole. Like, that is the escape immediately, and it's shown it to us within the first 10 seconds of the movie. And there is so many other little things like that scattered throughout that imply lots of red herrings for various different characters. Because again, this is a first movie, so we don't know that John Kramer is Jigsaw. We're constantly questioning who is throughout. So I think in terms of the red herrings and the little nuggets of information that they drop throughout, I think it's done quite masterfully, to be honest with you.
Yeah, I do. And you mentioning the key again, that's the other thing that's in his...
Oh, yes, of course, the key.
He gets a little key because they try to use it to undo the locks for their chains. Now, you and me both work in the trades. We're both versed in using hand tools and power tools and everything else. I am convinced in 7 hours, which is how much time they've got, I don't care how blunt that hacksaw is, I could get through a single link on that chain or through the padlock in 7 hours.
Definitely.
Without...
Not just that, but the rusty cast iron chains that posts that they're actually bolted to, they cast iron is a very, very weak metal. Like, you could probably kick your foot through most cast iron pipes, especially with the level of rust and deterioration that the pipes have in this room. So, like, I mean, I know you've got to give it a bit of leeway. It's a film. Nobody knows the metals. It's just to say the chain to a metal pipe. I get it. Do you know what I mean? But, like, considering how well thought out everything else is in this movie, there's little things like this where you're like, come on, guys, like, you've gone to all this effort and that's the best you can do.
Yeah, because I watched this for Lisa, and Lisa went, "Oh, you'd never get out." I was like, "Honestly, you would. I'd either cut the pipe. I'd cut the pipe enough and then wedge myself behind it and use all of my weight to break it, or I'd just focus on the padlock and I'd cut away at the hasp on the padlock until that broke. But there's no way in 7 hours I wouldn't get out."
No, and even towards the end, it's like you didn't need to do that to get your foot out of that chain.
No.
Which, to be fair, they do come back around to later on in, I think it's the third movie.
Yeah.
Where the detective shows them how it should have been done.
Yeah. Now, this is another bit where Gordon has a bit of a leap in logic where he's like, the hacksaw is not for the chains. It's for our feet. It's like, how did you get there? Like, that's a big...
Yeah.
Big... Would you make that leap? At any point, would you go, this is to cut my foot off?
I kind of guess, yeah, because the situation they're in is obviously very torturous. Like, that is obviously the purpose of it. Regardless of how it insinuates it on the poster of the movie, you kind of know where they're going with it. But I think a hacksaw, regardless, would very easily cut through bone and flesh.
Yeah.
certain metals are very hard to cut through with a hacksaw. Not saying that it's impossible to do so, and they certainly would have been able to do it in this situation. And more to the point, you would just cut the padlock. But yeah, again, I don't know. I kind of probably would have put that together, I think.
Yeah, I don't know if I would. I don't think there's ever a situation I'd be in where I go, oh, this must be to remove a body part.
No, I mean, obviously you never want to go there with that, but I think it does imply it quite heavily.
Yeah, and 100% not my thing.
Ooh, I'm gonna be all up in those feet. Oh, I'm gonna just be sucking on each one of those tootsies. You can't hide them from me. No. You think you can, but you cannot. Oh no, there's no hiding those sweet, succulent tootsies from me.
Is that a Quentin Tarantino interview?
that was when he was casting Uma Thurman. I think. This is where Gordon says that he thinks he knows who's trapped them, and Adam's like, "What do you mean you know?" He's like, "No, I don't know the guy. It's not my neighbor, but I know of him." And we start to get the flashbacks, and we meet Danny Glover's character, and I forgot Danny Glover was in this. Completely forgot.
Yeah, I mean, I saw this movie quite a lot, and I watched it heavily when it first came out. It was everywhere. You couldn't avoid the Saw phenomenon that was back in the early 2000s. But yeah, like I think I reviewed this on my actual review page maybe 2 months ago or something like that. And I went through it thinking, oh, holy shit, I forgot all about this subplot with the whole detectives and everything else. I thought this entire movie was based within this room, this first one. With regards to this subplot of the police detectives, I think it's fucking great. And I think it's, upon hindsight of this movie and watching it again over the years, I tend to lean more heavily into that side of the stuff from this film than I do the actual maze itself. I get really engrossed in Danny Glover's story and everything that goes on with it. The only criticism I really have for this section is it's very... It reflects quite heavily on the quality and the budget of the movie. It feels very sort of CIS in terms of quality. And again, the same can be said throughout for the majority of the acting in this film. Not a lot of line delivery lands very, very well, especially from Lee Winnell and Carrie Elwes. There's some of the dialogue that they say to each other is just whoa, like that is rough, man.
I would argue that Dr. Gordon is the worst. I think Danny Glover is the best. Danny
100%. He's a
great
veteran
in everything. We've also got super sexy Dizzy Dina Myers in this, and she's not in it enough.
Who's Dizzy Dina Myers? Is that his wife?
No, that's
no. Of course, yes, from Starship Troopers. She gets done real dirty in this franchise, by the way.
Yeah, doesn't she just?
Yeah.
Not so much in this movie, but in the franchise, she's really yeah.
She's like just a bit player in every movie up until it's important for her to be like the mainstay, and they just kill her off immediately in the opening credits. I'm like, what a waste of 2 or 3 movies worth of build up for her character.
Yeah, what a waste of 2 or 3 movies build up, but what a waste of a really good actress as well.
Yeah,
definitely. She is a great actress. We see the other traps that have come before. So we meet Paul and we meet Mark, who both failed to escape their traps. One had the razor wire tunnel, that's horrific. Like if anyone's ever cut themselves on razor wire, it is the worst, the absolute worst.
Like a paper cut, but worse. You feel it.
I wouldn't have survived his trap.
No, but I don't think if I had to choose between the two, between him and Mark's, I think I would have preferred his. I feel like I could navigate that trap better. Do you know what I mean? Like you don't need to go guns blazing running through all that wire. You could sort of make your way through it carefully enough, I think, to get to the end. I know you're on a time limit, obviously, with what you've got to do, but still. But the second one, the walking on glass, just no for me, thanks. Like that just sounds unbearable.
See, it's not the walking on the glass that would bother me as much. Like what bothers me about that one is you're covered in a flammable liquid and the only light source you have is a candle.
Yeah.
That bothers me more than anything else because that's Like if you catch light, your only option is to roll in the glass to put yourself out.
I never even thought about it like that. Of course, yeah. I'm just thinking about walking on it, but as soon as you're burning alive, you're just immediately going to drop to the floor and roll through glass as well. Oh, yeah, that is actually worse.
It's like neither of these. I don't think I'd survive either of these. Like I have not got the patience to go around and find the code on the wall. I just, both these.
The only thing that annoys me about these two traps is like, obviously, all the Saw traps have, or especially in the later movies, they all have a sort of resolution to them. You can get out of them one way or the other. And it always annoys me when I watch this movie that we never find out how simple it probably is to find the code within this room. Like it's probably a really simple code staring him in the face the whole time. And I'm like, every time I'm looking on the wall trying to find out if it's something that I could work out myself, and I can never do it because
it's probably written on
that much thought into it.
It's probably written on the safe or underneath the candle holder.
Yeah, probably. Yeah, exactly. It's probably something simple like that. But yeah, that always annoys me about that they don't give enough development to that trap.
Yeah, I mean, these are just to set up how sadistic Jigsaw is. It's all these are for. We see some of the investigation with Detective Tapp, who's Danny Glover, and his partner Singh, who's played by Ken Leung. He's great in this movie. I love Detective Singh.
Yeah, I think he's fantastic. I've seen him in a lot of stuff as well, and he's always great.
Yeah, I think he's a really, really good actor, and him and Danny Glover bounce off of each other very well.
I mean, Danny Glover's a veteran when it comes to the buddy cop stuff, isn't he? Let's be honest.
Yeah. So long and short of this, Tapp thinks that Dr. Gordon is the killer. And this is all because he found a pen of Dr. Gordon's at one of the crime scenes. And he brings him in which was left there. And he brings him in for interrogation. And Dr. Gordon's got a solid alibi. He was with his intern. Dr. Gordon is not a nice guy. I think we'll lay that out now. And yeah, he kind of deserves to be where he was. We also meet some people in the hospital. So we see a scene with Gordon in the hospital and he's talking about a patient. He's talking his interns through the patient's symptoms. And we meet John Kramer. And Kramer's introduced by a character called Zeb. Zeb's a creepy dude. He plays creepy dude in everything he's been in.
Yeah, he has that look about him, doesn't he?
Yeah, he played creepy dude in Lost as well.
Yeah, it's very hard for actors who have that creepy air about them to be able to break out from that and do roles other than they've been typecast for. And coincidentally, a couple of episodes ago, we did Late Night of the Devil. The lead guy from that, Mr. Dalmatian, he was very much the same sort of stereotyped character in everything he did prior to breaking away from that with Late Night of the Devil. And to be fair, there's not many other actors I know or can think of off the top of my head who have been able to break that mold that they found themselves into. It's like the guy from Road Trip. He's the main one for me. Every time, the skinny dude in Road Trip, it's like you will always be that dude now. There's nothing you can do. In the guy from American Pie, Jim, he always plays the same character in every movie. It's difficult for him to break away from something when you've been so typecast in your career.
Yeah, I mean, look at Sean William Scott, Stifler. Like he will always be Stifler. Whatever he does, he's Stifler.
I mean, he is, but I will give that dude a little bit of credit because he sort of dipped his toe into the horror genre a little bit lately. He's done a couple of movies. He was in the sequel to Becky, and he was fucking terrifying in that. And then he also did a movie called, I think it was called Bloodlines, where he played like a Dexter character, where he's like a serial killer. And he was going after like bad people in order to sort of quench his thirst. It was basically Dexter without being called Dexter. And he was really cool in that as well. So hopefully he gets a little bit more into the horror field.
You bringing up Dexter, we're going to touch on it very, very briefly. Have you seen there's a prequel series coming?
Yes, terrible idea. Terrible casting from what I've seen on it already as well.
Okay, cool.
Like,
we're on the
thing that's annoying about it as well with that whole Dexter prequel series is like the entirety of the 8 or 9 seasons of Dexter, we have the prequel within the confines of those series because we have all the flashbacks of him and Harry when he was younger, played by various different actors playing a young Dexter. So we don't need it. We've got all that unless they're going to retell those flashbacks again or completely sabotage the entire show by doing something different. it's like, what's the point? And the guy that they've cast as Dexter as well is probably around the same age as I've forgotten his name now, who plays the character. The guy who plays Dexter, anyway, it'll come to me at some point, I'm sure. They're probably around the same age as he was in Dexter season 1. It's like, how far back are you going with it?
Yeah, I'm not on board for it. Let me know. Let us know. Call into the show if you're on board for this. I know loads of people watch Dexter. Dexter's amazing.
Yeah.
In an attempt to break Dr. Gordon, Tapp introduces him to a character called Amanda. This is done where he sits Gordon behind the double glass, like the two-way mirror. And they talk through her escape from Jigsaw. She's the only person to ever escape one of his traps, and it's the bear trap mask, a reverse bear trap. I know I'm in the minority, but this trap is shit.
Yeah, you are definitely in the minority.
Yeah,
I don't think I think you also have to take the trap into its full context as well. Like, it's not just she's sitting there waiting for this to explode. She has a way to get out of it, but in order to get out of it, as we find out in the flashback, is Jigsaw's tape plays. He said there is only one key for the padlock. The key for the padlock's inside your dead cellmate. There's a guy laid on the floor with her in the cell. She finally releases herself from the chair that she's confined to, goes over to the guy, as in to pull the key from without his stomach, only to find out that the guy's still alive and has some sort of like paralysis. So it turns out they give us some sort of exposition explaining that they drugged him and he could hardly feel anything. But he was alive the whole time. And she has to make the decision, basically, do I kill this guy and take the key out of his stomach, or do I let this exploding time bomb that's strapped to my head go off? She finally decides to kill the guy, and you can kind of feel it in her voice and in her cries as she's stabbing this guy repeatedly to try and find this key. The panic and fear in her face is just, I think it's really impactful. I know what you're saying regarding the actual trap itself feels a little bit weak, but
no, I think the whole setup is, I think it's because I look at things differently. Like, my desire for self-preservation is quite high. And I know the guy's alive, and I know this probably makes me sound slightly psycho, but without hesitation, that key would be out of him. I don't think it's
you're savage, man. You've already killed me within minutes, and now you're killing this other dude as well. And there's not even your family on the line here.
No,
you're
it's
just
me
going
on the
for
line.
it.
I'm thinking of the future of this show. Like, if I'm not here, you have to do this shit on your own.
It'll be fine, man. Don't worry. But yeah, I don't know. I like it. I do like it. But I think we need to really, within the confines of this scene particularly, we need to address the elephant in the room, and that is the well-renowned new metal score and flashy cinematography, shaky cam thing that comes along with it. Because this is the first time we really see it. I mean, we get a brief glimpse to it with the first two traps, but it really hits hard here with Amanda's when she's trying to break free from the chair, and it is just erratic camera changes and swirling around the rooms, and this sort of Korn Linkin Park soundtrack playing over the top while she's trying to do so. I've always criticized this throughout this entire franchise. I think it's terrible, absolutely terrible. But James Wan does it fucking brilliantly in this first movie. I think it's really cool here, really impactful. When it's been tried to be replicated and become synonymous with his franchise in later movies, nobody quite does it as well as he does here, and they overplay it a lot. We only see it a couple of times here in this movie, maybe 3 or 4 in total, and it's really brief, and it works. But man, do they wear it out throughout the rest of the movies in this series.
Yeah, they do. I'm going to say something now that's probably controversial, will probably upset a few people, but this is when James Wan could still make movies and Hollywood hadn't corrupted the fuck out of him and stolen his soul.
Yep, agreed.
Because he is now a soulless filmmaker who just makes absolute trash.
Yeah, he hasn't made a decent movie in the last 10 years, I would say.
Probably longer than that, I think.
And even the Aquaman movies, for all they are as mindless popcorn movies, the fucking CGI and cinematography in some of those is terrible.
Yeah, he has very much become a paint by numbers director. Like, you can pick up every beat and you know where everything's going, which is really frustrating because when he done this, like, I had no clue where this was going, none whatsoever.
No, not at all. And I think the thing is, I mean, you're talking about these like movies that Hollywood produced, and especially within the superhero genre, it's very hard to distinguish between them, their own personality within directors. They're all the same. I think the only one that actually does stand on its own 2 feet is the latest Thor movie by Taika Waititi. I think that's the only one that has its own unique character within this whole mass sort of superhero thing that's going on at the moment, where you could be like, that's directed by a certain person because it doesn't fit the mold of everything else that's come around it.
Yeah, I don't know. I've fallen off the superhero wagon after Endgame.
Yeah, I did. The only ones I watch now are the Tom Holland Spider-Man ones. They're the only ones I actually enjoy.
Yeah, exactly the same. We go back into the grotty, horrible bathroom, and this is where Adam has a bit of a meltdown. And he's losing his temper, and he throws the recorder, the one that he was so desperate to keep hold of. And when he throws it at the wall, he breaks a mirror. And it's a two-way mirror because he picks up the glass and he looks through it. He's like, you see this bit where he has the realization. And I like the fact they show that it is actually a two-way mirror, and they turn it round and show you that it is what they're saying it is. Yeah. Now, they smash this mirror completely, and we can see the camera. It's behind some sort of plexiglass, so they can't get it. This is where Gordon starts to remember him being taken. He starts to have sort of the memories are coming back to him, and he's remembering how he was kidnapped. Thoughts on the pig mask? I've never been a fan of the pig. Really?
Yeah, I love it. I think it's great. I really, really like it. I think it's there's just something about pigs that I find quite oddly horrifying, and I know they're used quite frequently throughout horror movies. But yeah, I think this one with the long dark hair and the red cape, I think it's really, really cool, especially the way that it's used in these movies, because in this first one, we only see it twice, and that's in the capture of both Adam and Lawrence.
Yeah.
And both of them have jump scares within them. And I think both of them are done brilliantly, especially Adam's later on. His is the best one. But I do think Dr. Gordon's one's pretty cool as well, where it like sort of spider crawls across the car park floor. I think that's really, really good. It's like Grudge, the Ring-esque kind of vibe to it.
Yeah, see, I like the captures. I just literally don't like the appearance of the mask. I said it when we reviewed Saw X as well, Saw 10. Like, I'm just not a fan of the pig. Like, they could have...
I get it.
So many options for different things that could have been genuinely scary. And maybe it's because I live in the forest and there's lots of pigs and wild boars. And like, a pig is not scary to me. It's a pig.
No. I mean, when you look at this now, in contrast to everything we know that comes after, who do you think's wearing the pig mask? Or do you think it was an afterthought that we find out later on that it's Amanda?
I think it was an afterthought.
It's got to be, hasn't it? They're insinuating it's Jigsaw in there.
Yeah, I don't think when they made this, they had any idea this was going to be a 10-movie franchise. They didn't think that far ahead.
11, because we've got the new one coming out this year.
Next year, it's been pushed back.
Oh, they pushed it back now, have they?
Yeah, pushed it back to 2025.
Maybe that's because John Kramer, Tobin Bell's just been cast in the new Jurassic Park movie, so maybe he's busy.
Yeah, again, that's another franchise that probably needs to be put to bed now.
It does, definitely. The last ones were fucking shocking with Chris, whatever his face is.
Jurassic World, I really enjoyed. Lost, what was it, Dominion or whatever that was. The last two they done. Yeah. The last one was absolutely dire.
The most jumbled mess I've ever watched in my life. Because they built it up as well, like dinosaurs were now roaming freely within us, and we was all working together as one. But then it was just the same thing, barring a couple of scenes. One of them on his motorbikes, like the first film, but instead of being in a jungle, he's now in like Italy. And then one other scene where it runs through a cinema screen, which we saw in the trailer, and then everything else is like confined again to like a jungle aesthetic. It's like, what's the fucking point? You had such awesome possibilities with this, and you blew it. You could have given us this whole Godzilla-style dinosaur movie, and you didn't.
Yeah.
And this was supposed to be the closing chapter of a trilogy as well. You brought back OG cast members and wasted probably millions of pounds bringing them back to do nothing with them.
Yeah, you could have thrown a velociraptor in a Starbucks. That's what we wanted to see.
Of course, yeah. You replicate the whole kitchen scene from the first movie, but do it with actual civilians running around and stuff. That would have been perfect for me.
Yeah, yeah. They need to stop. I love a sequel, but they need to stop. This is where we get the best sequence in the entire movie for me. This is the best moment of the film for me. This is where Tap is watching the tape. So they found one of the Billy the Puppet tapes at one of the crime scenes. He's watching it again and again and again. And Sing's like, I'm going to go. And as Sing's leaving, he's like, oh, hold on. And he's listening and he can hear a train and then he can hear something else. And then he hears a fire alarm. And he's like, fire alarm, bring up a map. And they get a map and they work out.
Oh, they find a gang. They also see a gang sign spray painting on the wall. So they know that gang sign is a certain location within the area. And then they hear the fire alarm and then on the tape and like, right, so let's go back and find the fire breakouts within the last 2 weeks of this confined area where these gangs are. And that's where like, Tuesday night we had this here. And that's where the piece. And I think this is incredible detective work on their part.
Really, really, really good. And this is why I like it. It's so authentic. It's like, shit, that's actually how they solve crimes. And I like it where Tap goes, right, we're going. And he's gone, I don't know if we got enough for a warrant. And Tap's like, warrant? We're just going to have a look. It's fine. When they get there, they break into this warehouse and they go for a wander. The warehouse is cool. Like, this is the set, what turned out to be the setting for Saw 2, is this warehouse. You find, they find a Billy the Puppet model. They find a model of the bathroom, which obviously we know is what's going on now, but they don't. They find a man strapped to a chair with drills either side of his head. This is a horrible trap.
Yeah. Very, very horrible, especially if you're in it as well. Because I think, don't you only have 20 seconds as well in this one? That's not long. And I know it's like an accidental trap and it's not supposed to go off in the moment that it does, but still, it's like, shit, like, how are you supposed to escape something like that in 20 seconds? Because he's always got to have a get out clause in his traps.
Yeah, exactly. But like, this guy gets no hope whatsoever. And the reason this trap goes off is someone comes in and you see a cloaked figure. And Tap's like, quick, cover everything back up. We're going to hide. And then completely wastes his hiding space. Like, everyone hides and they wait for this guy to come in. And he's not even 3 steps through the door and Tap's out with his gun pointed at him. It's like,
yeah,
what was the point in covering everything back over? You just jumped out on him. Wait till he gets like right up by the trap and then jump out on him.
No, he was by the trap though, wasn't he? Because he was able to immediately turn it on with his foot. So he must have been within the area of the trap.
Yeah. The trap is cool, like when it goes off. And I think it's brilliant that you've got Taps holding it is Jigsaw. So I don't have to keep saying the guy in the cloak. He's holding him down with a gun saying, don't you move, don't you move. And you've got Singh trying to get him out of the trap. Can't get him out of the trap, so resorts to firing his gun to basically break the drill bits. So he shoots one side and then he shoots the other side, and doing this makes Tap sort of turn around. And as he turns around, Jigsaw goes all Assassin's Creed with the hidden blade.
What is that hidden blade thing? Like, I think it's cool, don't get me wrong, but I was like, come on, man, he's not Inspector Gadget. Like, that's not, he doesn't walk around that prepared all the time, surely.
No, see that blade, have you ever played the Assassin's Creed games?
Yes.
So that is your main, one of your main weapons in that game. It's like a pop-out blade. Like, in this, it's really cool. But I don't, from memory, I can't think that it ever comes back around again. I don't think we ever see it again.
No, which is a shame. Like, if they'd established it throughout the movies as being like his killer weapon thing, I'd have bought into it a little bit more. But the fact that it's just very convenient for him at the moment, like, I would have much preferred him just to grab something off the floor, like a rusty blade or something like that.
Yeah, but instead he pulls out like this, like
shredder weapon,
and he slits Danny Glover's throat. I thought Danny Glover was dead here. Like, Singh goes over and like puts his hands on it and Taps like, just get him. Don't fucking worry about me. Go get him. Singh goes in pursuit and he chases him down a corridor. And when he gets to the end of the corridor, Jigsaw stops and waits for Singh to approach and kind of lures him in. And Singh triggers a tripwire, which triggers multiple shotguns that shoot down on him from above and blow a massive hole in his head.
Before he does, the reason Jigsaw stops is because Singh shoots him in the back with a shotgun, dropping him to his knees. So then Singh slowly approaches and then sets off the trap, which is fucking horrific, by the way. I love this character, and when I saw him go, it broke my heart. I was like, no, please don't do this. That's such an awful way to go as well, because when you see him fall to the floor, he kind of like, do you know when somebody gets like stabbed or something? Especially Danny Glover does it here anyway, when he gets his throat slit. He sort of like stood. No, it's not. It's later on when Danny Glover gets shot, where he sort of like holds himself as in like shock for a few moments, and if to say what the hell is going on, and then he drops to his knees. You kind of get that from Singh's character, but you don't see his head because obviously he's just been obliterated by a shotgun. But it just like hovers on him for like a couple of seconds before he drops and falls. It's heartbreaking, it really is. But it always annoys me because then immediately after Singh drops to the floor, Jigsaw gets up and walks away. And I'm like, there is no way you're that prepared to put like fake bullets in this shotgun because you didn't have access to it. So like you'd clearly just got shot in the back with a shotgun, but you got up and walked away from it as if you had like a stitch and carried on with your day. I mean, like I know you're a fucking supervillain, but this is getting a bit hard to digest.
Yeah, there's lots of little bits in this movie like that, and I think it's a lot of that is budgetary constraints. I imagine they would have liked to have done a scene where you see Jigsaw patching himself up or something like that, but like that option wasn't available. This was made for fuck all. Like, it cost nothing to make.
Oh no, of course. I mean, I'm not hitting on the film too hard because it's a great movie, but I think like when we're dissecting it scene by scene like this, you kind of have to pull apart the bits that do stand out as flawed. And for me, even just a simple thing like showing him have a bulletproof vest on or something like that under his cloak because he got up and walked away would have been suffice for me to be like, yeah, all right, okay, I'll buy it.
Yeah, and like I like this whole segment in the warehouse is my favorite segment in the movie. Like I love the setting. I love the fact they have the killer there, and I love the fact they show how adept he is at like adapting to his situation. So he's fucked at this point, and he walks out of here unscathed with one guy with his throat slit and another one dead. Like he just walks away like they're nothing to him. And I thought that a brilliant way to build his character because he is very much a fuck you, I'm better than you type of guy.
Yeah. I mean, also as well, I want to bring back because you mentioned that they saw the trap, the cardboard trap of the room that obviously Elwell and Winnell found himself in, and you said that's what's going on now. It's obviously not, though, is it? That's not what's going on now. This must be his trap that he's setting up for the future because later on we see that Danny Glover's still alive, but he's got a scar and everything else. So obviously a great deal of time must have passed between this flashback. So this must have been a flashback to like a couple of years before or something like that because Danny Glover's all right.
Yeah, well, you say all right.
I mean, obviously he's retired from the force and he's been a weird stalker and obsessive with the case, but yeah, he's all right.
Now, they explain this next bit in lots of sections. There's lots of cutting back to the bathroom and back to flashbacks and back to bathroom, and I'm not going to do that, so I'm going to kind of simplify it down a bit. So after Singh's death, Tap loses his mind, basically, and all he cares about is catching the person who killed Singh. He actually gets booted from the force. He doesn't retire. He gets told he's going to go. He moves into a house over the road from Dr. Gordon because he's still convinced it's Dr. Gordon. And they show that he is one step away from being in a mental home. He's got like all the evidence on the walls and it's all over the floor and he's muttering to himself as it like they really paint him as he's lost it, completely lost it. He's in a mental breakdown. I think that's good though, because it works really well for his character. And Danny Glover does unhinge better than I thought he would.
Yeah, he's very, very good in this role. And I've seen Danny Glover do a lot. I mean, he's fantastic in Predator 2. He's fantastic throughout the Lethal Weapon franchise. That kind of is he's like, that's his thing. Like you mentioned Danny Glover now, and he is Lethal Weapon. I'm too old for this shit. That's, do you know what I mean? The amount of times he must hear people scream at him down the street. But I have to say, I think this is one of his best performances in his entire career. He's so good in this movie. And I don't feel like there is enough. I mean, we do get a lot of focus on him in the movie, but I want to see more. I would have liked to have seen an entire movie of this cat and mouse of him trying to chase him down. And I feel like as great as the stuff is within the room that they find themselves in, I feel like that subplot is a lot more interesting than what they focus on in this movie. And that's unfair to say about the movie, because the stuff that they do focus on is still great. I'm not taking anything away from that. But when you have such a good element contrasting alongside it, you're like, oh, this is really, really good. But that's so much better. Can we please get more of that?
I think had they realised how much of a success this was going to be and that it was going to spawn 11 other movies, there is not a way in hell they would have killed that character.
No, I don't think so either.
Like, if they realised this was going to become the massive franchise it is, 100% he would have survived. He would have been in it till at least Saw 3. And probably, if they hadn't killed him then, probably would have been called back to Saw 10.
Be an apprentice.
Yeah, exactly that. Like, they missed a trick, and not through any fault of their own. They thought this was a one and done kind of movie.
Yeah.
Now, while all of this is going on and Tap's losing his mind, we go back to Adam and Gordon, and they're sharing some personal information with each other, just kind of getting to know each other a bit. And Gordon throws him over his wallet and shows photographs of his kids. While looking through the photographs, Adam finds another photo in the wallet, which is of Gordon's family all tied up. And there's a hint to something in the darkness. Now, he doesn't say anything about this at the time. So in the tapes at the beginning, Jigsaw mentions that X marks the spot. And Gordon brings it up again. He's like, we need to look for this X. And Adam's like, let's just try something, like turn off the lights. And Gordon's like, why? He's like, just turn off the lights. He turns off the lights and we get an illuminated X on the wall. Which, fun fact, isn't glow in the dark paint. They've done it with a shining light through an X to achieve that.
Yeah.
Gordon smashes.
But the thing is, as well, about that though, it's a little nitpick, because they say, like, how did we not see it earlier?
You know, they mentioned, he's like, oh, it was glow in the dark paint. It must not have charged up earlier.
Is that how glow in the dark paint works? Do you have to charge it up with light? But does it
has to be charged.
But
that room would have to have been dark for months, for that not to be illuminated even a little bit.
But then obviously they bring the bodies in there. They do bring night vision in to drop them in and chain them up.
No, again, it's like, if you really pick at this movie, you can pick holes in it quite easily.
Oh yeah, I mean, like I say, it didn't bother me that much in the movie. I'm not criticizing it for that, but now we're pulling it apart for that, for the sake of it. Then let's go there.
Yeah, Gordon smashes the tiles on the wall and he reveals a little lockbox. Now, earlier he had the key, which he actually threw to Adam to unlock his chains, and Adam throws it back to him and he unlocks the box. Now, the box has got a couple of cigarettes in it, a lighter, a mobile phone, and a note. And the note says, you don't need to use a gun to kill Adam, or there's other ways to kill Adam.
Also, you should say as well that there's 2 cigarettes in the box. One of them's got like a blood-soaked tip, and the other one hasn't.
No, Gordon soaks one with blood. That's how he does it. So at the very beginning, they mentioned that the guy on the floor had so much poison coursing through his veins that he shot himself in the head instead of dying of the poison.
Okay. I thought that was the case, but then when I rewatched it today for the purposes of this, maybe because I've seen it so many times, I didn't pay too much attention to this scene where he dipped it.
Yeah,
I just assumed it was in the box like that.
Yeah, so the note says you don't need a gun to kill Adam, and all Adam wants is a cigarette. And I feel him, like, in that situation, no vape, no nicotine, I'd be like, yeah, the cigarettes in that box, like, are you going to smoke these? Like, they come from the killer. And Adam's like, yeah, do you know what? I'm going to take my chances. Gordon dips one in the blood, and he's basically going to use that to kill Adam. Before we get to that point, Gordon receives a phone call on the mobile phone that's in the box, and it's the caller who's holding his family hostage. Now, I think the game would have ended a long time ago for me. I'd have either got out of the chain or I'd have killed Adam. But yeah, like if it hadn't, this would have been the turning point for me. When he gets the phone call and he hears his wife crying, he hears his little girl crying, like Adam would be deader than dead. But now, when it reached this point, I think this would be my, I'm sorry, dude, you got to go.
Yeah, I agree. And what he does next in order to try and sort of trick things is a little bit weird. Have we already got to the flashback where we find that his daughter's wanting him to put him to bed because there's a voice in the cupboard? We've kind of glossed over that.
I got glossed over that.
Yeah, because I feel like that's a really important scene, especially to showcase how intelligent the writing is within this movie. Is like, we get this flashbacks where they kind of show how much of a dickhead Cary Elwell's character is, by his daughter saying that there's a mister in her bedroom talking to her, and she wants her dad to put her back to bed. So the mum comes in and he's busy on his computer and he's like, "Oh, I need to finish this," ignoring him. And just as a moment where you think he's actually going to follow through with it and send her to bed on her own, he closes the laptop down, he goes upstairs. But it really resonated with me this time around, being a dad as well. And like, that dude's in that closet the whole time.
Yeah.
Like, as soon as he goes out to see his mistress, that's when he ties up his wife and kids. And I'm like, oh, that's fucking bad, man. Like, it's not a case of you getting called out to work like you've addressed to your wife and child. Like, oh, I've got a page, I've got to go to the office. Like, no, you've gone out to have hanky-panky time, and that's why your wife and kid are in this situation. Had you have just stayed home, none of this would have happened. Well, maybe it would have happened still, but
but it would have been a different. Yeah, like I said earlier, he's a bad guy. And like on this phone call, you've got the person who's holding them at gunpoint turns around to the wife and says, "Tell your husband he must not trust Adam," and she does. From here, the movie really ramps up, and I'll be honest, I appreciate the fact it does, because this is a very much, from the opening till now, this is very much a steady beat. A lot happens, but it's very much something happens, bit of a break, something happens, bit of a break, and it's very like a monotonous pace. There's no pacing.
It's a lot longer than I remember it being as well. I always thought this was a tight 90 minutes, but it's not. It's nearing on 2 hours. It's like an hour and 50, I think.
Yeah, and it's only at this point that things really do ramp up, and it's all on the back of this phone call. So Gordon, like, the phone goes dead, and Gordon straight away is like, "Who are you? Like, I can't trust you. What's going on?" And Adam confesses that he was paid to watch him, and he's like, "Oh, by the creep in here, what did he look like?" He's like, "Oh, he was a tall black man with a scar across his neck." And Gordon's like, "Shit, Detective Tapp." And
again, like I said to you earlier, the red herrings throughout this movie, because we don't know who John Kramer is at this point. We just know it's a jigsaw killer. Even the point earlier on where we have Tapp and Singh trying to get him in the warehouse, we never see his face. He's always hooded and cloaked. So you're always second guessing who is actually the killer. Is it even, especially the first time around as well, you're even convinced that it could be Dr. Lawrence or Adam at this point. You're like, shit, it could be one of you two dudes setting this whole thing up. Like, what's going on? And I think that's really, really good.
It's really, really good. And this is where the thing that he threw in the bathtub earlier comes back around. And these are the photographs he took of Dr. Gordon and his house and his family when he was surveilling him. And one of those photographs shows someone in the window, and that person in the window is Zeb. And this is where Gordon's like, I fucking know him. I'm going to kill that man. And like, I love this whole setup that, like, Zeb is like, from this point on, you're like, Zeb's the killer. He's the creepy dude. He's the killer.
Yeah. Again, like you said, red herrings, you're there now. You've gone from it being Danny Glover or being one of the two in the room. You know, none of your focus is on Tobin Bell at all.
No.
And then now you've switched again and you have a completely different narrative. And every time your perception changes of who you think this may be makes you second guess and question every single scene that's come before it in the movie up until this point. And it just constantly keeps you in that place with what is going on, who is this, who's doing that, and just questioning every single motive that everybody has on screen. And I'm going to say it now, I was going to save it for my roundup, but I think that this movie is incredibly well written and directed in terms of how it's all put together. And I do feel like the legacy that this movie would have had it been a standalone is massively compromised by the sequels that follow it. Because every time you rewatch this movie now, all of those red herrings and second guesses and questions that you have as you're going through it are no longer there, because you know everything else that is built up and sabotaged throughout the rest of the movies that follow. And it's a real shame, because had this movie been left and not touched and not had a sequel, I still feel people would be singing this movie's praises from the rooftops today. The same way, I think it would be like sort of Hereditary level movie stance within the horror community. People would be like, Saw is like one of the greatest movies of all time. But I think because it's so diluted by the shit that follows it, it really affects the reputation that this first movie should have had.
Yeah, I mean, this is as a standalone, this is one of the best. But when you dilute it down with lots of others, like this movie is still great, and you could still take it as a standalone. But when you watch the same beat for beat story played out in 9 other movies, like there's no real big changes in this franchise until you get to Saw 10. Like, and even then, the changes in that are only minor. Yeah, it does affect your viewing of this 100%. Now, the time runs out. So the clock strikes 6 o'clock, and we get the reveal that Zeb is the gunman at Gordon's house. And he's basically turned around to Gordon's wife and goes, you and your daughter are going to die now. But before that, you need to ring your husband and tell him he's failed. And while this is going on, the wife's managed to get her hands free, and she wails on Zeb. Like, Zeb's a small guy, and she really fucking goes for him, and rightly so. While they're struggling, the gun goes off, and Tap, who's a lunatic who lives over the road, sees gunfire and hears gunfire, gets his gun, and he wades in. Now,
I mean, he's not like just living over the road. He's obsessed with the fact that he thinks Dr. Lawrence is the Jigsaw killer.
Oh,
so
yeah.
He's staking his house 24/7, trying to find some sort of evidence to prove that he's the guy.
Yeah, he sat watching the window, and like the phone is on at this point, like they've called, and then all the hell breaks loose. Tap rushes over, and then there's more gunfire, and there's a fight between him and Zeb. And all the time this is going on, Gordon is listening to his wife and child scream down the phone. Like, this is the most awful thing. I couldn't imagine as a father having to listen to that. Like,
no, and it completely justifies his actions that he does next, I think.
Yeah, it does. I mean, Zeb gets up and manages to get away, and Tap goes in pursuit. He gets to where they're holding Gordon and Adam, and Tap catches him. And I was convinced that Zeb was dead here. I did not think that he was going to shoot Danny Glover and kill him.
No, I didn't.
Because when he did, I was like, oh, fuck. Like, that was, especially first watch, that's like you're all done now. There is no getting out of this for anyone now.
No, because at this point as well, we might as well say that Tap has chased him to the warehouse. They're both in the warehouse now. They're not in the room, but they're within the building. And obviously, after he kills Tap, this is where Dr. Lawrence goes full Saw. Hence the name of the movie.
Yeah, he takes a hacksaw to his foot, and it's gross. And if I'm honest,
I think it's Adam's reaction to this whole thing, which is the best thing about this scene, is Adam is just screaming in fear.
No,
whoa, what are you doing? And I felt for him in that moment, like, because he's stuck there having to watch this unfold, not being able to do anything. And yeah, it's brutal. And I think they do a fantastic job. And as much as I've criticized Cary Elwell's performance in this movie, I do think after this scene, once he's actually committed the act and he's cut his leg off, he's fucking brilliant. And I think the makeup really enhances that. They really pale him off and they darken his eyes, and he's got this constant shake, like an adrenaline sort of thing. And he portrays that very, very well on screen. It's really good. But in terms of acting, that's probably about the best this movie's got really from him.
That's as good as it gets from him. And honestly, had he shown the same enthusiasm he used on his ankle on the chain, he would have been out 6 hours ago. Like, seriously, like
no, I agree.
He goes at his foot at 100 miles an hour with no let up whatsoever. But
I think you'd have to, though, wouldn't you? You couldn't just leisurely do it. You know what I mean?
No,
if you was going to do it, it's one of those like you're gonna have to just bite a bit of rag and just go to town until it's done. Get it over quickly. It's like the old phrase goes, ripping off a band-aid. It's that kind of thing.
Ripping off a band-aid, hacking off a foot, like exactly the same. He crawls across the floor, he picks up the gun, and he loads the single bullet that he had. And Adam is just screaming like, no. And this is where Zeb walks out. He shoots Adam. So he shoots Adam in the chest, and Adam hits the deck. And this is where Zeb comes in. And Gordon's like, I've done it. And Zeb's like, nah, sorry, dude, you're too late. Like, you had your chance. Time run out. And Adam is not dead and goes full psycho on Zeb with one of the best kills in the movie. What a way to go.
Yeah, absolutely savage, man. You see all the blood splattering back up at him as he's going to town with his toilet cistern. Just bludgeons him to death, which is really cool. And I like that it's Lawrence that comes over to him. Like if I was Adam, I'd be fucking raging. But obviously Lawrence is like, it's just a flesh wound. I hit you in the shoulder on purpose. I'm like,
yeah.
Are you a sharpshooter? Like, there's nothing in this movie that alludes to you being very well equipped with a gun. I know you're an American, but still, like,
you're not from Texas. You're not Heather.
Oh, brilliant.
Gordon says that he's going to die unless he goes and gets help. So he said he starts to crawl away and he promises that he'll come back for him. And I wouldn't have trusted him. I'd have been like, yeah, okay, I'll get my own way out. And Gordon crawls away. Adam searches Zeb to try and find a key to get out of his chains, thinking, well, if he was coming here, he's obviously going to unchain us to get away with get rid of our bodies or whatever. And he doesn't. And he finds a recorder. And this is where everything comes together. He pushes play on the recorder.
The best twist ending in any horror movie of the last 20, 30 years.
And it starts with, hello, Zeb. And you're like the first time I watched it, but as soon as it said hello, Zeb, my mind just went, fuck, he's trapped as well.
Yeah, it's so cool, man. And I wish I could go back and relive that first reaction phase again for this movie, because this ending, there is no denying nobody saw this coming. Nobody in the world knew that this was going to happen. There's nobody sat there watching the first Saw movie thinking the guy dead in the middle of the floor is the killer all along. And when it happens and he pulls out that recorder out of Zeb's pocket, everything just starts ticking in your brain, and you slowly see John Kramer get up off the floor and pull like the prosthetic sort of like makeup off his face to show that he's dead. And you're just like, this is the best movie I've ever seen in my life.
This is so good. So like the tape explains that Zeb had a poison running through him and he had to get the antidote, and like the only way to get the antidote was by taking these two. Like, it's all so clever. And this is where we get the John Kramer reveal, where the body stands up and he pulls the prosthetic off. And his little throwaway comment, Adam, the key was in the tub, by the way, the whole time. And as this is happening, you've got the Saw theme is just like banging in the background.
Yeah. Is that the first time that's used in this movie as well? I can't remember.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I would argue that score has now become iconic to the levels of Halloween and Jaws. Instantly
100%.
Instantly to this movie, and it's a fucking brilliant brilliant score.
It's fantastic, and it's what will define a generation, just like the Halloween score did, or the Jason score did back in the day. There's not many modern day horror movies that quite utilize how important a synonymous score is with a franchise, especially if you do intend on becoming a franchise. That key element of a recognizable score is so important. And like considering how well transferred it is throughout history in terms of Nightmare on Elm Street, Halloween, Jason movies, like you would think by now that horror movies, especially that go on to produce sequels, would have honed in on this a lot more than they have done. But nobody quite picked it up as well as Saw did.
So you're getting Saw and Score confused as well.
I'm saying Saw a lot tonight. It's all.
He walks over to the door. He switches off the lights, and we get his only real decent line in this.
Game over.
I'm going to be honest with you now about when he says game over. The first time I heard it, I thought it was corny as shit. And I was like, that sounds like a fucking Mortal Kombat finishing move thing.
Yeah.
Like, he's not had that voice throughout any of the movie, or even when he's having his final monologue, he sounds nothing like that. So when he does say it, I always remember thinking, that's a bit shit. But then now, 20 years later, we're looking back and like, yeah, that's the most iconic thing of this, this
really
entire
is.
movie.
And the door's shut, and that's the game over. That's the end of the movie. One quick fun fact before we take a break. Originally, Adam was meant to cut his foot off, and Gordon was going to be left in the room to die. They swapped roles. So Gordon, who was told
better.
Yeah, Gordon was told in the tape, you will be left in this room to rot if you don't if you don't kill Adam. He didn't kill Adam, and he ended up dying and cutting his foot off. And Adam, who was told that he needed to fight to stay alive to get out of the room, didn't fight to stay alive and ended up trapped in the room, which was Gordon's original fate. So they swapped the fates that they were predicted at the beginning.
Yeah, and I think that works better because the stakes were obviously a lot higher for Gordon's character, so it would make more sense for him to do what he did.
Yeah, I agree. Anyway, we're going to take a break, and we will be back very, very shortly. He says, optimistically looking for the video. It's there. When you finish listening to this episode, why not head over to yourunpodcast.com and check out a podcast all about consumption. And that podcast is the Dewey Pod Monster, covering everything from independent film through to B-rated horror, through to brand new releases, and even TV shows and documentaries. The Dewey Pod Monster has everything you could possibly want. Hosted by John and Sean, this show is hilariously funny, very informative, and an excellent member of the You Run Podcast Network. So make sure you go and follow Dewey Pod Monster. Go and follow everyone at the You Run Podcast Network. Go and check out their shows, yourunpodcast.com. There is a show there for everybody. And I mean that. Genuinely, everybody will find something there that will please them. Plus, our shows are there too. Use it as a hub. Use it as your entertainment hub. yourunpodcast.com.
I think that is really something that's quite great about the network is you do have such a variety of shows on there. It's not like you've picked or people have come on board who are very in our lane with what we do and shows that we do. Everything's very varied, which is great.
Yeah.
I say that because it's, I'm not trying to sell the show. I'm just saying this as somebody who's like observed the people who have come in and out of the podcast network. And I do think that there is a great selection of different types of shows on there.
Yeah, there is. We've got a bit of everything, which is, why it's great. It's kind of the whole reason it was created, not just to be horror, but you've got horror, you've got true crime, you've got TV shows, you've got everything. So go and check it out. 3-word reviews came in abundance this week, like abundance. There was loads. I struggled to pick. We're going to start on X with Pop Culture Reflections, member of the You Run Podcast Network. That fucking ending. It's enough said. Dewey Pod Monster, who you just saw an advert for, clean the bathroom. Yeah. It's not a nice bathroom. M. Mackenzie 73. Game fucking over, and they're a horror account. Slasher played this week, which surprised me, but they did. Hi Slasher people. Hi-Fi Horror Guy, check the tub, and he's a VHS collector. He's an account you'd love. Like his collection's awesome.
Brilliant. I'll check that out.
We've got, I can never pronounce it, Mal Cement Art. My leg hurts, and they're a digital artist, very, very cool artist as well. Over on Threads, we've got Catkin Colors, Can't Be Unseen, and they're a horror account. Podcast Audio, Saw It Coming, and they are a podcast audio technician.
I can guarantee they didn't, though. I think they're full of shit. There's no way they saw that coming.
100% it was just a pun on the movie. Yeah. On Instagram, we've got BJ Mumbo, incredible first film, and BJ's a YouTuber and really cool guy. Wednesday Wine and Horror, our spoiler warning herself, Texas Twilight. I saw it.
Cool. For a change, Heather's actually seen a movie that we're talking about.
Bloody Babble, Danny fucking Glover, and they're a horror account. Kay Lampe, Bloody Brilliant Billy, and that's Kate, listener to the show, and got a really cool account as well, does loads of books and F1 stuff. Mike the Movie Misfit, Kevin McAllister's Revenge, and they're a horror account. It was that three word review that inspired my Kevin McAllister / Saw remix reel I done the other day.
Oh, cool.
Pretty Killer Podcast, Ultimate Plot Twist, and that's Jordana of Pretty Killer Podcast. And finally, Skellington Fan. I haven't heard from Skelly for a while. Hi, Skelly, glad you're back. Skelly went with Game Over. We got a couple of TikTok talks this week. Do you want to start with Dave B Movies or Bite 19?
Oh wow, Larry's not on this week. That is a surprise.
Larry's not playing this week. I think you upset Larry. Larry's having a break from you.
He's having a break. You decide this week. I'll let you pick.
Let's go with Dave B Movies.
Hello. So I'm choosing to talk about Saw today because the craft is not my thing. I'm not into all that witchy shit. So anyway, now I start off by saying I'm not a Saw fanboy. I really enjoy them. I have a lot of fun with them, but I don't tend to rip them apart, know everything, and pick up on every little thing that's going on. So that's just that. I did give a 3-word review that said quite simply, "Fucking great twist." We'll get there in a minute. There's a few things in this movie which annoyed me. Would the police let the surgeon sit there and watch Amanda's interview after she got out of the trap? No. I believe that Amanda was always supposed to get out of the trap. It was deliberate, purely because she didn't have to do anything to herself. And if you're about to have your face ripped off, it's quite easy to cut to something else if somebody who's anaesthetised and painless.
Yeah.
So that was always a bit of a setup. Now let's move on to the ending. Fucking great twist, yes, until you look a bit in depth. I was wondering on this rewatch, how would he manage to stay there for all that time and nobody noticed he's alive? Could he use drugs to slow him split down and breathe in? Possibly, yes. But how would he know how long to dose himself in order to be back up? Right, so you could say, well, 6 o'clock was his time limit, so give him 30 minutes after that, potentially. But who's to say they didn't succeed before that? So it just leaves a lot of ambiguity for me. Yeah, whatever. So it's not as great as I once thought it was because it doesn't really make sense in how it would work. But that only bothers me when I'm analysing and looking to give a TikTok talk and find something interesting to talk about. Besides that, it's a great film with a fucking great twist. So just recommend to see you on the next one.
He raises a really good point that I've never thought of before. How did Jigsaw stay on the floor? If he did drug himself, how did he know they wouldn't complete the game before his drugs would wear off and he'd stand up? Or was he there and how was he not breathing and being seen that he was breathing?
No, he did. It says, I can't remember which one it is. Is it Saw 3? I think that they go back to it and they show that Amanda puts him under. I think it's Saw 3 because that's the one that focuses heavily on her apprenticeship montage thing.
Yeah.
And they go back to this scene again and they play it out and they show Amanda injecting him and putting him under, and the drug slows his heart rate and slows his breathing.
But
enough.
How does he know? Like, if they completed the game in 3 hours, he's still going to be fucking asleep on the floor. Like, there is a hole there.
There is a slight hole, but it might. I think in that situation where they're in this room, I think you would only probably need to be under for the first couple of hours.
Yeah.
After that point, I think the lack of focus away from that wouldn't. You could get away with slowly breathing heavily on the floor without notice, I think.
Yeah, I think so as well. I mean, everyone, if you're on TikTok, go and follow Dave B Movies. He's a really cool account, a really nice guy as well. Like genuinely one of the nicest people I've met on the internet. So go and give Dave a follow. Bite
He
19.
is, but before you want to move on, he kind of. Oh, sorry, go on.
No. No, go on.
He made a good point about 3-word review, which is something that I was listening to as we was going through. 3-word review, guys, up your game, because that was piss poor this week. Everybody just used a cuss word to emphasize the 2 words that came with it, which is shit. Come on, you guys can do better than this. Like, game fucking over. Like, we know that's a catchphrase, but you can't just throw a cuss word in the middle to stretch it out for 3-word reviews. You guys need to be a little bit more creative with your 3-word reviews, because this week was piss poor.
I get what you're saying, but I will quite often throw a cuss word in to emphasize everything I do.
I know, but I just feel like it was a very padded out 3-word review this week.
And
the Kevin McAllister one was pretty good.
Yeah, and here is Bite fucking 19.
Oh, hey. TikTok Talks. Haven't been on you guys in quite some time. Let's talk about Saw. One of those great torture horror movies that people like to not really talk about anymore because it's gone up to 10 dead blasted movies. Anyway, we're talking about the first one, which is probably one of the best. It actually has a really gripping story and probably some of the most inane kills that you could possibly imagine. It's just absolutely insane. But the way that it works is our killer, as it were, doesn't actually do any violence to you. He sets you up in a trap, and it's up to you to get out. So, you have to figure out, stay there and be unalived, or figure out a way to get out before unaliving. It's actually quite the conundrum. I really like it because it also has probably one of the most unheard of and unexpected appearances by Danny Glover, of all people. A little short, independent little movie just happens to have Murtaugh, one of the biggest stars in Hollywood right now, as part of the movie, and goes through basically what I like to call a revenge kick, because he loses his partner in the process and gets a little bit of a cut himself for realizing that person that was all responsible for all of this madness so many years later is actually right on his toes. So it's actually a pretty good idea. Now, the premise of the actual story itself is a wild one. 2 men trapped on either end of what appears to be a pretty bad bathroom, one to say, and chained to their feet. They have to escape in some kind of capacity. And the only way to really do that is to saw through their feet. It's gripping at the same time, while the backstory on the outside of the bathroom is actually pretty harrowing in its own right. And it sets itself up as kind of like a backwards and forwards, out of chronological order kind of movie. So you have to figure out who's responsible for what, and once the big reveal happens, you figure that out. And I tell you, it's probably one of the best plot twists you could possibly ever get your hands on. Let me tell you, the music sets that whole scene up right at the end of the film, where you're just like, I'm sorry, what? You just have to see it for yourself. If you haven't seen it, get out there right now and check it out. It's out on DVD video. It's actually on 4K right now as we speak. So you should get yourself a copy of that, enjoy it, and then come back. And after 10 films later, let me know what you think, how awesome the entire series is. Bite 19, here at work, not in the basement, but telling you, I'll see you soon.
That's cool that he said he's at work, because I was wondering about his hat obsession for a moment.
No, he does loads of his TikToks from work. He's so cool. Like some of the stuff that he's got at his work. Bite 19 is really cool. Again, another really great guy on met online. Go and give Bite 19 a follow as well. Let's do some facts. Tobin Bell was the person laid face down on the floor for the entire through the entire movie. It wasn't a dummy, it wasn't a stunt double. It was Tobin Bell laid on the floor face down for the entire shoot.
Man, that is like the best paid job ever. Like literally all you've got to do is go and lay down on this floor.
Yeah.
And get paid lots of money for it. I mean, I wonder how much he got paid for this.
I think he got a decent amount. I don't know the exact figure, but I think he done okay.
Enough to lay on a floor for 12 hours a day.
Yeah, he laid on a floor for 12 hours a day for however long this was shot. And when he stood up, he became a horror icon in the same level as Michael Myers and Jason Voorhees for laying on a floor. Like, there is not another horror icon who spends their debut movie dead still and has about 3 lines of dialogue.
No.
Like, awesome. Now, in order to make the actors feel like everything was authentic, this was shot in order. So where we see all the flashbacks and stuff where it's shown to us out of order, it wasn't filmed that way. It was filmed in the order things would have happened, so everyone understood what was going on. So there was no big plot reveal. There was no big twist. Everyone knew what was happening all the time, which I thought was really cool.
It's very unusual that happens because most movies never ever film in sequence.
No, they don't. But for this, they did. James Wan wanted the camera movements to reflect the emotions of the two characters, which is why Dr. Gordon is filmed on a Steadicam and is very stable and very like in control. All of Adam's shots of Adam is filmed on a handheld camera, so it's more erratic. So you pick up that he is like panicked and erratic, and Dr. Gordon is very leveled, and which again, cool. James Wan did not take an upfront salary for this. Instead, he opted for a percentage. Best decision of that man's career.
Wow. That is a smart move.
He took a percentage not only of this movie, but of any sequels that may be made, was his deal. So he got paid nothing for this and just took a cut. What genius.
Maybe that's probably why he's churning out shit these days, because he doesn't actually need to go to work.
It's very true. Directors James Wan and Lee Winnell, they made this together. Lee Winnell wrote it with James Wan. They wanted to make a movie that was self-contained to one location. And this was actually a project they done in film school. They made a short movie called Saw. And they decided they wanted to expand on this. And this is where this movie came from. James Wan built Billy the Puppet himself.
I knew that, yeah.
When they flew out to shoot this, he was really worried about Billy being damaged in transit, so bought him a plane ticket, and Billy sat on the flight with him.
That's cool.
But you think on a plane there rows of 3? You imagine getting the ticket where you're sat like James Wan's by the window, Billy the Puppet's in the middle, and you're on the end. That'd be the worst, most uncomfortable flight ever.
The questions you must have had as well. It's like, because James Wan wasn't anybody by the time this movie came out. So it's just this weird Asian dude with this creepy looking puppet sat on a plane together. You'd be like, can I move seats, please?
Yeah, it's so bizarre. The identity of Jigsaw was revealed in the movie way before he stands up. Did you catch it?
No.
In the hospital bed, when he's got Dr. Gordon referring to him as the patient, as Zeb comes in and goes, no, his name is John. On the table next to him are some hand-drawn sketches. One of the hand-drawn sketches on his desk is the reverse bear trap.
Oh, that's
clear
cool.
as day,
No, I didn't
like,
see that.
right in your face. In this scene, you also see John Kramer steal the pen from Dr. Gordon.
Oh, do you actually?
Yeah. So cool. When you watch it back,
you're
like,
watch that. Now you've pointed it out, I'll watch it again and see.
You're
if
like,
I pick up
that's
on it.
so cool. Like, as soon as you spot the bear trap, you're like, well, it's him. Like, it's so like right in your face, but done so subtly that you just don't spot it.
That's brilliant. I've never, and the thing is, most normal movies would immediately show that and focus in upon the fact that he's just stolen the pen.
Yeah.
But they didn't need to do that in this movie. They just put it there blatantly but subtly enough.
Yeah, it just happens. Like the pen's put down on his little table that's across his belly, and like his hand just comes up and just takes the pen away. It's really so cool. The reverse bear trap was used in the original short movie. So when they made the short of this, the reverse bear trap was one of the traps. That movie kind of plays out exactly how this does, with less of the detective stuff. They had to redesign the bear trap because it when they made it, it's so heavy. It is made of steel. It's really cumbersome. And the first one they made for their short movie actually worked.
Oh shit!
So when Lee Winnell wore that in that movie, he's got a working reverse bear trap in his mouth.
No. If Hollywood has told us anything with the Crow movie and the latest Alec Baldwin scandal, no, that's not a good idea.
No, I'm sure it was locked, so it didn't. But they needed to. They couldn't afford to make multiple ones like they did for this movie, so they needed one that they could show that it sprung open. And that was the same one that I'm sure it was locked off, so it couldn't do that. But it was.
Man, things go wrong all the time. That is just not something I would be on board to do.
No, and Shawnee Smith, who wore the thing in this, she struggled to keep her head up straight. So when you see her struggling with her head, it's because of the weight of the reverse bear trap, because it is made of steel.
On her,
yeah, really cool. Anyway, I think it's time to give Mark a bit of
emotional damage.
And mate, you're talking to a 2-time Broken Spirit champion, mate. I hope you brought your A game tonight.
We're going to do something quite epic. If you win, I'll play that as your victory music.
When I win, you will play that as my victory music.
Hello. If you are listening to this, that means that the confrontation you so long dreamed of is finally unfolding. Do you want to play a game? You think you will walk away untested? So I would be careful if I were you, or all the people you burned with your act just might have their revenge.
It's almost like this quiz was made for an episode that we had Saw on.
I don't know where my sudden sort of sense of confidence has come from, but I'm feeling good.
Well, I've created some of the hardest questions I've ever done, ever. Forget Broken Spirit. This is going to be the hardest I've ever quizzed you. For anyone who's not listened to this before, this is a game called Seesaw. So one of us will ask a question. If the other one gets that right, it's their turn to ask a question. If they get it wrong, the person gets to ask another question. Whoever uses all their questions first is the winner, and the other person is shamed and humiliated and reminded of their loss for weeks to come.
How are we going to establish who goes first? What is the fairest way to do this?
I would say that you are the type of man who still carries cash, and I will take a coin flip. And Mark is now reaching in his pocket, and because he is a man who still carries cash around.
Right, here we go then. I'll let you call it. Heads or tails?
Tails never fails. That needs to come up to the camera so we can see it. What's that? Oh, fuck. Tails fails.
Tails always fails, my friend.
Would you like to go first or second?
Now you've just told me you've written the hardest questions you've ever written, so I'm going to go first.
Okay, fire away.
Question number 1. What is the character's name of Finn Shepard's wife, played by Tara Reid, in the spectacular Sharknado franchise?
Oh my god. Jesus, what's her name? They say it so many times as well.
Yeah, like a million times.
They do. I don't know.
Wrong answer.
Wrong answer. I don't know.
Are you sure you don't want to take a guess?
No, I haven't got a clue.
The answer is April Wexler.
Oh, fuck, of course it is. Over to you again. This may be a really short game.
Oh, yes. Can you tell me the name of the cannibalistic family from the original Texas Chainsaw Massacre movie? Just a surname.
You're making me doubt myself now. They're the Sawyers.
That is correct. They are the Sawyer family. They were later renamed as the Hewitt family in the 2003 reboot and 2006, I think, prequel.
Yeah, see, that's what threw me. Instantly, my head went Hewitt, and I went, no, that's not right. Right, my turn. In Halloween 2018, the character Michael Myers would have been how old? You have multiple choice. Would you like them?
Oh, yeah, please.
I thought you might.
I'm pretty confident, but I'll take the multiple choice.
61, 62, 63, or 64?
I'm not very good with maths. I'm going to say 64.
Wrong answer.
Oh.
He was 61. He would have been 61. Question number 2.
Just by the way, if these are all Halloween questions and you're trying to show me up, I'm going to be really annoyed.
No, they're not. I just started with a Halloween question.
Oh, right. Okay.
A lot of these are picked from your favorite movies and franchises, though.
Brilliant.
In the movie Shaun of the Dead, what name does Sean's mum use for Sean? What does she refer to him as?
Oh, you motherfucker. I actually don't know. How do I not know the answer to this? I love that movie.
And you'll know, as soon as I say it, you'll be kicking yourself. I'll give you a clue.
I'm going to say...
I'll give you a clue. It's a food item.
Oh. Pudding.
Wrong answer.
Oh.
She calls him Pickle.
Oh, I knew it was something like
that. Question number 3. I'm winning. I like this. Which actress once got up on a couch and auditioned as a dog for her part in a 1984 horror comedy that was a box office smash?
Sigourney Weaver, Ghostbusters. Yes!
I'd love to see the audition tape. I've seen loads of people interviewed where she literally came in. She knew there's a part where she had to play a dog. So when she came in, she jumped straight on the couch and went full lassie.
Man, this is like post-Alien as well. I'm surprised that she even had to audition for that movie.
Yeah, so am I, but she did. And she went in and went full dog.
Yeah, incredible. Right, so my turn. Game over. Question number 3. The African-American man born in the late 1800s as the son of a slave who grew up to become a well-known painter who would go on to become the infamous urban legend Candyman. But can you tell me his name? And you can't say Candyman.
Right. That was the most convoluted, long way around.
Oh, yeah, I went very long-winded about it. Don't get me wrong. I'm trying to throw a spanner in there. I was giving you a little bit of backstory to throw you off, but I just want to know Candyman's real name if you want me to simplify it for you.
Yeah, thank you very much. I know it as well.
I'll tell you what, I'll even just accept his first name. I don't even want a second name. You tell me his first name and that will give you the point.
I'm going to say his first name is Arthur.
No, that is incorrect.
Wrong answer.
It's Daniel Robitaille.
Fuck's sake. What question are you on now?
Question number 4.
Oh, fuck. Okay.
Question number 4. How many people have donned the Ghostface mask over the course of the 6 Scream movies?
Okay. Hold on. Are we including? Is this only killers, or are we including the heroes who've also worn the mask?
No, not the heroes, only killers. And that's the 6 movies, not the TV show or the made-for-TV movie that followed those.
Okay, so to clarify, we're not including Sidney Prescott or
No,
Sam. Okay,
not protagonists, just killers in the movies.
Okay, that's fine. So you had Billy Loomis and Stu Marker. Then you had Mrs. Loomis and someone else in number 2. Then
Mickey.
you had Roman Bridger. Then you had the 2 film student nerds. Then you
Jill and
had
Charlie.
Scream 5. Who was Scream 5? Oh God, I've gone blank. Scream 5 was Amber and what's his face, and then you had 3 in the last movie. So what's that? 2, 4, 5, 6,
Think
7.
about your answer before you give it.
Yeah, hold on. So 2 in the first movie, 2 in the second movie, 1 in the third movie, 2 in the fourth movie, 2 in the fifth movie, 3 in the last movie. So that's 9, 10, 12. 12 people have worn the mask.
Final answer?
Yeah.
Game over.
Oh, no, not that
Wrong
one. That
answer.
The answer is 13. You left out Jason Carver, who killed Samara Weaving in the opening credits of Scream 6.
Oh, fuck. I forgot all about him. He means nothing. He's not a proper
I knew you would, and that's why I asked the question.
Damn it. Okay.
Question number 5. What animal birthed the xenomorph on Alien 3? In Alien 3. And there is 2 possible answers for this question, and I will give you both, whichever one you pick.
A dog.
That is correct. It was a dog in the theatrical, and it is an ox in the assembly cut, depending on which version you watch.
Yay. Right. Question number 4. Which actor played Herman Munster and Judd Crandall?
Oh, fucker. Oh. Fred. Why am I thinking Fred? Why can I not think of his last name? I think it's Fred. I don't know. I think I'm right with Fred, but I can't think of his last name.
Want to take a guess at his last name?
Fred Cemetery.
Wrong answer.
It was Fred Gwynn.
Close.
Excluding TV shows, so this is movies only. And these are movies that are currently released, not any that are planned. So currently released movies. How many horror movies has Jenna Ortega starred in? And to clarify, I'll give you 2. I'm classing Scream 5 and Scream 6. They are 2 movies, 2 separate movies.
Right. Scream 5, Scream 6. You've got Babysitter, Killer Queen. You've got X. I think that's it. I know she's got Beetlejuice coming up, and she's done a lot of TV stuff, but I think that's just the 4. X, Babysitter, Killer Queen, Scream 5, Scream 6. And if she was in anything else, she must have been like a really fucking cameo bit part. I'm going 4. Final answer.
Wrong answer.
She was in 6. She also appeared in Studio 666.
She did! Fuck! I love that movie.
And she also appeared in one of her earliest roles at the age of 10 in Insidious 2.
I would never have got that. But I should have got Studio 666.
So I am now on to my final question. So if you get this wrong, I win. If you get this right, it's back over to you and you have a chance to take it home. So in Halloween 1978...
Oh, you fucking arsehole. No.
What movie do we see Lindsay Wallace watching?
It's a thing from another world. Yes,
correct. Which John
Don't
Carpenter
test
then went
me.
on to make the reboot of The Thing, 1982. So yeah, back
Yes.
over to you. So if I get any of these right, I win.
Right.
Because
Okay.
I've run out of questions. So if I get either, you've got 2 left.
Which was the last one I did? No, the last one I did was question number 5.
Okay, so if I get this right, I win. If you get this right, if I get this wrong, you win.
Come on, mate. Are you ready?
No, not now, knowing that this answer will determine whether I win or you win. I'm a little bit upset by the whole situation.
I'm bringing in the big guns. What is the name of the hardware store that Myers acquires his mask from in the 1978 John Carpenter's Halloween movie?
Fucking hell. I'm just going to do it now. It saves time.
Game over.
What was it?
The answer is Nichols Hardware Store.
I'd never have got that. I never paid that.
I know you wouldn't. That's why I saved it till the end.
God damn it. Another win for you, another loss for me.
Oh, dear.
Let's move
Get the
into some
small
roundups.
violins out, everyone.
Yeah. It's I feel very upset and very hurt, and yeah. Let's do some roundups. I'm not a fan of the Saw franchise. I've always thought them to be gore fests and instantly forgettable. And for 7 of the 10 movies in this franchise, that is 100% the truth, and I stand by it. But there is a few that are standout and something a bit special. Saw 10, which we reviewed earlier this year. Saw 2, which I think is arguably one of the best sequels, continuity-wise, of any horror movie. And this movie. Now, this is so much more in depth than I gave it credit for from memory. It's only on this rewatch that I realized how in depth and how well written this is. There's almost like a 7 vibe to this. It's very much on the level of writing that 7 is. I really enjoy it. Casting's good. Acting's not the best, but kind of doesn't need to be for this movie. Like, the movie stands on its own merit, regardless of a couple of duff performances. Performance-wise, my issues mainly lie with Gordon. I find him really annoying.
Yeah.
Like, really annoying. I want him to die quite quick into the movie just to end his bad acting. This is a movie that I won't return to very often. These types of movies are not my sort of thing, but I can also appreciate when one is standout and really, really good. I love the storytelling in this. The twist in the end is, unforgettable. This gets a 4.5 out of 5 from me. Almost top marks.
Solid score. Again, for me, this movie is fantastic. I really, really enjoy this in terms of a standalone entry within the Saw franchise. I'm with you on this, Scott. I'm not a big fan of this movie's. I struggle to make. In fact, I haven't even made it past Saw 3. I've seen 1, 2. Struggled my way through Saw 3, and then Saw X, and I haven't seen anything else in between. They're just not for me, along with the Hostel franchise and things like that. I just find them shock for the sake of shock and lacking in... Yeah, and that word's thrown around a lot, and people instantly categorize movies that are heavy gore as torture porn, which in most cases is justified, especially around this time period within the horror genre. But this movie does something that all of those sequels that follow it completely forget, and that's how focused it is, and the story, and the grand reveals and the red herrings throughout. And to the franchise's credit, Saw 2 does a very good job of continuing that on, and I think that's because how heavily involved Lee Winnell and James Wan are in that sequel. And you could see that it feels very much a grounded continuation of the first movie. Yes, they focus on the traps and the gore a lot more than this movie did, and I think that's where they've got the marketing wrong with this franchise. That's not what draws people in to this franchise, especially when you're basing it on the first original Saw movie. It's how incredible the writing is and how engrossing the storytelling is. And then all of that just gets completely diluted by focusing on gores and more extreme traps and just convoluted timelines along the way. Which is a shame, because had they focused on the right stuff about this first movie going forward, this could have been a really cool, interesting sort of on the same levels of the kind of Hannibal Lecter stuff, you know, the true crime at its core, storytelling movies going forward. And they didn't do that with the franchise, which is a shame. But as we're dissecting this first movie on its own, I think the acting, especially by today's standards, when you go back and rewatch this, is quite hard to get through. Some of the dialogue is very, very clunky. The acting from especially Cary Elwell's is really, really bad. And I think Lee Winnell as well, although I have seen him do other stuff going forward that he is really good in, it's clear this is his first dipping his toe in the water of his acting prowess. And that shows, which is a shame, because had somebody more well-respected being cast in this role, I think it would have done the movie a little bit better in terms of rewatchability. But again, it's not that bad. It's not that bad that you're going to completely tear the movie apart for it. It's just there's a few things that are said between the two of them that's quite laughable when you watch it now. Direction wise, I know I've nitpicked about these movies, especially with the shaky cam and the whole fast new metal thing that they do. I've said already throughout this episode, this movie does it very, very well, and I think it's really impactful. It loses itself as it goes forward, but here, if you focus on what this movie did with it, James Wan does a really, really good job of making it not a gimmick. And it's hard to say it's not a gimmick, because it's not a gimmick until it becomes a gimmick and it's repeatedly used. But when it's done first time around here, he does it flawlessly and just the right amount of showcasing it. Score, we've touched upon, fantastic, really impactful, now iconic with these movies. And the only other thing I want to really say about it in terms of pulling it apart is there's a couple of jump scares in this movie, and most of the two of them that are really sort of stand out are when both Adam and Dr. Lawrence get captured. And as I said previously before, I hate jump scares, but I do find these two credible in this movie. I think they're really, really good. I know we said about it, but we didn't actually touch upon Adam's capture, where the pig mask is hiding in the cupboard. There's a really incredible scene where Adam's got power gone out in his apartment, and the only way he can see is by flashing his camera to light up the way, because it's like sort of paparazzi kind of thing. He's flashing the flash on his camera as he moves through stages in his apartment to find the noise of the person who's broken in. And just as he gets to the cupboard, he flashes a camera and the pig jumps out, and it gets me. And even now I know it's coming, it still gets me. And that's a beauty of doing a jump scare right. If it can repeatedly get you, even though you know it's going to happen, that shows how incredible it is. So there's a lot of stuff within this movie that's done very, very well and deserves to be appreciated. And we spoke about it already. I think like the rest of the franchise going forward heavily dilutes how important this first movie is. And that's a shame. For someone who's only seen a few of them, it already tints my notion of the first. So I can only imagine what 10 movies in does to how impactful this first film is.
When you get to 7 and 8, it does become a bit of a, oh, no, don't do that. Why are you doing that? Like, tell me a story. I don't want to see someone with a bucket on their head being dragged back into spinning blades. I don't care. Like, give me a story.
Yeah, I can imagine. But overall, to tie it up, I think this is a very, very good movie. I think Saw 2 is better, marginally. But there's just different things about that movie that I like in comparison to this one. But overall, I think this is great. I think, obviously, given its success and the movies that it's gone on to make and the money it's spawned over the franchise, it's certainly a record to show how great this first one is. Otherwise, none of that would have even happened. But in hindsight, going back now, nearly 18 years later, it's a 4 out of 5. And I begrudgingly knock it down a bit because I do feel like it is a great movie, but I would feel like I'm cheating everybody who's listening by giving it any higher than a 4, because there is elements of it that don't hold up very well by today's standards, I think. But storytelling wise, it's fantastic.
Yeah, and a 4 and a 4.5, that's solid scores. It's a good movie. If anyone's listening who's not seen it, 1, you're weird because you've listened to us tell you all about it, but 2, go and watch it. That's another episode for a close. Thank you to everyone who's listened and everyone who supports the show. Have a wonderful week. We'll be back next Monday to talk about another horror movie that created more goths than The Crow, and I will stand by that. It honestly did. But until then, relax. It's only magic. Bye, guys.
Cheers, guys. See you next week.
Hey, everyone.
The You Run Podcast.
The You Run Podcast.
You want to die tonight?
Scott, I think you know who the fuck this is that's talking.
Cancel Mark. I was terribly offended.
Because after all, this is not our show. This is your show.